So let me start with the first part, research. So let's start with this question: what is not a research? So normally, when people collect some information through Google search or maybe looking into some newspaper, they start calling it that it's a research. So we as academic people, we don't believe that it's a research if you don't have any clear purpose of just browsing is not a research. Similarly, recording facts and figures without having any interpretation is also not a research, or you can't call it a research. It's not an activity that's not relevant to your daily life. So from that, I want to highlight that research is something which should be relevant to your life, should be solving some problem. Otherwise, I believe such research is of no use. A term to get your product or idea noticed and respected. Normally, if we want to emphasize on something, on some idea or on some product, we start claiming, oh, it's developed by a lot of research. So it's not necessarily that such thing come out of a certain research. So then what is a research? Starting from a dictionary definition, this is a systematic investigation into and the study of material sources in order to establish facts and reach to new conclusions. Another way of looking into it from some scholar perspective, a process of finding out information and investigating the unknown to solve a problem. From the textbook I was referring to, it's more comprehensive, which says it's something that people undertake in order to find out things in a systematic way. So it's something you try to find out things, but in a proper systematic way. There is you can say it's a kind of a protocol that you follow, and thereby increasing their knowledge. So you try to increase your knowledge. You go through a certain systematic way with a certain clear purpose, certain clear questions, objective. It's based on logical relationship rather than beliefs. Multiplicity of possible purposes. We could have multiple purposes of while conducting our research. For example, it could be that we want to describe some phenomena and we want to do the research, or it could be that we don't know about something and we want to understand that thing, so we do that research. Or it could be that there is something already existing and we want to kind of critically look into it. For example, some policy, maybe we are interested to see how it's impacting the things. So could be so many things, but the question is, it's a clear research question, clear objective, a proper systematic way of doing it. So it's a kind of some norms and ethics that need to be followed. Then we call it that, okay, it's a proper research. Then these are the 3 points. Data are collected systematically, data are interpreted systematically, there is a clear purpose of finding out things, and you follow a proper process. Another things which we come across most of the time is the 2 terms, basic research and applied research. It's always good once we have some idea about research to make the distinction between these 2 as well. So before explaining that, it's important to highlight that why we want to make this distinction, because it also set the tone for conducting your research and for doing the things which you are going to do. So when you are focused on the basic research, then you are focused more on the domain of the knowledge, expanding the knowledge of that particular domain. You are finding your work has a broader applications. So it's more like, for example, if I'm a physics field person, so basic research would be more like working on the theories that is developed in the physics field and looking further expansion to that. The applied side is more towards solving the problem. It's its focus on the problem, and then it's morely it's some context specific. You are focused on some organization or some business and you are solving the problem. So on the one side you are focused on more on the science itself. On the other side you are looking into its application, and hence we see the context as well, that basic research is mostly in academia, where people like me are working, who have more flexibility with time or with selection of topic, with selection of the area where we want to work. We have more flexibility and so many things. But applied research is more related to the people who are policymakers, people who are involved in different organizations or in businesses, and they have some set objectives set by the organization. Here you are solving a problem, so you are working in certain domains, so you don't have that much flexibility in topic selection or setting the objective independently. So there are so many things where then you are constrained. Then we have another thing which we say qualitative and quantitative research. It's also very common terms we come across when we talk about research. People do claim I'm expert in qualitative research or quantitative research. I myself call myself I'm quantitative person. So what's the difference? Normally we make the distinction in terms of one includes some numbers, the other include stories. The quantitative people call qualitative research is just stories, writing, text, and no numbers or equation or something. So what's the difference? So if I start with the aim, so the qualitative research is more like that you dive deep in something. You are more concerned of looking the unique perspective of certain phenomena. On the other side, when we say about quantitative research, is more based on data. You have the data, you model the data, you let the data speak for you, and then you try to generalize that finding to a larger population. The qualitative is more like you dive to a certain specific context, so it has a uniqueness. The data side is more like the data speak for you, and it's going on. There are so many other things where we can talk about the differences. For example, conceptually, from qualitative understanding phenomena from the informant perspective. Qualitative research is more focused on the perspective of the person who is doing the research. So there are different types of qualitative research where even the participants become part of certain community, and then they start reporting what they are observing. So that's also one type of research. So it's more like looking into the perspective of the person who is doing the research, and it's more the context dependent insider perspective to certain phenomena, and it's close to the data. On the other side, it's again discovering the facts about phenomena only, and it's context free, because data used by anyone would be giving the same results. I use the data putting some model, you use the same data putting the same model, should be getting the same result. But if it's a qualitative, perspective would be different. It would be depending upon how the person who is investigating is looking into it. So the perspective is removed from the data most of the time. Although nowadays we up to some extent attach the space perspective to the data as well, and we have a full science of it. Geographic Information Sciences, GIS, maybe you're familiar with that as well, creating maps. And then we have inductive or deductive method, bottom up or top down. Then in reality is dynamic and socially constructed. That's what the qualitative side look into. But in the quantitative, the reality is fixed, because it's about the data. The data speaks for you. So many more things I can keep on talking about it. I will just share. You can read it, and it will make sense to you. But I believe I make certain clear distinctions. One more thing which I would like to mention. In quantitative, most of the time have hypotheses, you have some data, you try to check these hypotheses from there. In qualitative research, it's more like why, you explore the thing, you interpret it, and then the sample size in qualitative research is smaller, because you can't interview each and everyone in-depth interview, or even collecting qualitative data is difficult. Publishing qualitative research is challenging. Writing about it is also challenging. But that's true. Being a quantitative researcher, I believe the fun part in research is the qualitative research, not the quantitative one, because quantitative is all data. You let the data speak. It's more easy to do. Larger sample, more data. About the ethical concerns. When you are doing qualitative research, ethical concerns and all these are at a highest level, because here it's your perspective looking into the phenomena. So if you are interpreting things wrongly, it creates more problems. If you are, interpreting things differently, it will make a big difference in what you are reporting. On the other side, there are ethical concerns in data as well, but the vulnerability of the research to ethical issues in quantitative research is slightly lower compared to qualitative. Although now I start believing after the introduction of AI, things are more or less at same level for both the researches.